All right, we are now streaming live on YouTube. If you all don't mind, I will start this slide again. Our budget serves as our primary strategic planning tool, and it is built upon a solid foundation. This budget was developed in adherence to sound financial practices, with all revenues equaling expenditures, complying with our legal requirement to have a balanced budget. Structural balance is also achieved with one-time revenues being dedicated only in support of non-reoccurring expenses. No transfers from the unassigned fund balance were used to balance this budget. The published documents provide the public with a complete overview of the town's fiscal plan, inclusive of debt service, fund balance, and capital projects. The proposed capital budget is fully funded and supported entirely with grants and pay-as-you-go cash, thus having no impact on our debt capacity. We continue our commitment to performance-based budgeting using data and metrics to inform our decision-making. Proof positive of our solid foundation and adherence to best practices, the town received the Distinguished Budget Presentation Award from the Government Financial Officers Association for the third consecutive year for our fiscal year 22 fiscal plan. GFOA established the Distinguished Budget Presentation Awards program in 1984 to encourage and assist state and local governments to prepare documents of the very highest quality that reflect both the guidelines established by the National Advisory Council on State and Local Budgeting, as well as GFOA's best practices on budgeting, and then to recognize individual governments that succeed in achieving that goal. The FY23 budget was completed in adherence to these guidelines, and we look forward to being awarded again this year. Now that we've reviewed and established our foundation and format, let's get to the numbers. The total proposed fiscal year 23 general fund budget is $7.2 million. This represents a 22% increase from the previous fiscal year. As you can see, Dumfries benefits from a diverse revenue pool. And unlike when compared to most counties, real estate, while significant, is not our largest source of revenue. Local taxes, such as sales, meals, and gaming tax, account for over 46% of the town's revenue, when compared to real estate tax, which makes up only 18% of our overall revenues. Looking more closely at the revenues for fiscal year 23, our projections reflect growth in real estate and key local tax categories. Revenues from real estate are up 27%, attributable to increases in assessed values and new and residential commercial development within the town. In fiscal year 23, gaming and sales tax revenues are projected to be up 100% and 54% respectively over the previous fiscal year. The chart on the screen now illustrates the point that from FY19 to FY23, revenues have increased 55%. The chart on the screen now looks further into fiscal year 24 and shows that our revenues are projected to increase an additional 178%, primarily due to the development of the Rose Resort. This is truly dynamic growth. As our revenues grow, we are also growing our fund balance. In plain terms, we could think about our fund balance like our savings account. And so the principles and advice that many of us apply to operating our households are also applicable here. So whether you choose to subscribe to Dave Ramsey or Susie Orman, they may recommend having 3 to 6 months of operating expenses in your savings account. So you will note with the chart on the screen that the town's fund balance at the close of fiscal year 21 is $4.2 million. And on a percentage basis, that's nearly 60% of our proposed operating budget. Said another way, the town has over 6 months of operating expenses in our savings account. So some may ask, how are we able to grow despite all the global factors that are outside of our control and the long-term impacts of the pandemic? Well, my short answer is by design and not default. Our revenue projections remain conservative and responsible in spite of the pandemic, and we are now seeing recovery of revenues that exceed pre-pandemic levels. Newer sources, such as gaming tax and DMV Select, did not exist or flourish at their current levels prior to the pandemic. Secondly, the town benefits from a diverse pool of revenues, with no singular source accounting for more than 20% of our overall revenue. Third, sound budgeting and financial practices. My team works extremely hard and diligently to adhere to best practices, to improve collections and keep expenditures in line. And overall, we want to make sure that we are good stewards of the taxpayer resource. Next, strategic planning. The town council has done an excellent job in articulating the vision and adopting strategic performance goals that allow us to make progress. Finally, the assistance we've received through federal relief programs have ensured that not only we could continue services in new and improved ways, but they also allow us to provide relief directly to the people, businesses, and nonprofits that needed it the most. Now that our revenue picture is in focus, let's move to our priorities for this year: relief to our residents and investing in our organization. We can all acknowledge the rising costs of practically everything. The values of real and personal property have also seen significant increase in our latest assessments. And while certain factors are beyond our control, aiding those in need is a core function of government. Prince William County conducts property assessments for the towns located therein. Residents of Dumfries pay real estate taxes to both Prince William County and the town of Dumfries. For the upcoming year, real property assessments that are done by Prince William County have increased 15% on average. This increase equates to an additional $230 in the average residential tax bill to our residents that they will pay to the county. So to provide immediate relief to Dumfries residents, this proposal and plan is also coupled with a real estate tax abatement in the current fiscal year that will abate the entire real estate tax amount due this June. Once approved, residents' bills will look similar to the example that you see here on the screen. On the left-hand side, please take note of the current year tax due highlighted in yellow. Also note on the left-hand side, stormwater utility fees. These are charges that are typically on all residential tax bills. On the right-hand side, you will now see a line that represents abatements. If you notice the red line that's connecting, the amount of the abatement will be equal to the current year tax due, resulting in residents only having to be responsible for stormwater utility fees on their bills due this June. The proposed fiscal year 23 budget keeps our real estate tax rate flat at the current rate. For context, each penny on the real estate tax rate is equivalent to $70,000. For additional perspective, $70,000 is less than 1% of our proposed budget. My staff and I have worked diligently to be efficient with the existing resources while creating new revenue streams that ensure that Dumfries continues to enjoy one of the lowest real estate tax rates in our region. And as we are at a crucial moment of our story, it is important for us to show stability even as we grow. In addition to the real estate tax abatement in June and keeping our real estate tax rate flat, the proposed budget proposes eliminating the vehicle license fee. This $24 fee for every vehicle garage within the town had historically been collected to compensate for the town's statutory inability to charge personal property tax. Revenue increases in other categories, particularly from the DMV Select Office, will allow us to cease collection of this fee moving forward, saving most households $48 per year. The demands of the pandemic have reiterated the importance of our workforce, particularly employees that serve as first responders. Our success would not have been possible without the dedication of our outstanding employees. As the employment landscape evolves and competition for qualified workers intensifies, we must continue investing in our most critical resource, our staff. Over the past 3 years, we have taken bold and necessary steps to enhance our workforce. We have increased starting pay for police officers, updated personnel policies, and provided 100% employer-funded healthcare for both employees and their families. As a result, our attrition rate has been reduced, our police department is fully staffed, and we are currently leading the way as the only local government in Virginia to offer such an healthcare benefit. The proposed budget includes 8% market rate adjustments for most town positions and supports new positions, 2 within our finance department and 5 additional police officers. We continue our work in our strategic focus areas. Priorities in economic development include improving key development activities. The proposed budget continues to fund the Destination Dumfries initiative to facilitate the goals of our Main Street Vision Plan and an affordable housing initiative to improve the local housing stock through best practices in zoning administration. As we continue transforming Dumfries into a destination place, we recognize the importance of interactions with the development community, stakeholders, and our residents. And to that end, funding has been allocated to support updates to our local zoning ordinance and the town zoning map. The public safety focus area encompasses law enforcement and emergency management. During the past year, the police department updated key policies, including use of force, de-escalation, and vehicle pursuit. Every Dumfries police officer is now trained and equipped with body-worn cameras to enhance both safety and transparency. Even as we grow, we continue our commitment to community policing best practices. The proposed budget includes funding for 5 additional police officers. These additional officers will allow us to continue to be visible throughout the community as new residential and commercial development increases throughout the town. The sustainability and infrastructure focus area incorporates transportation, stormwater, and the natural environment. Our top infrastructure priority continues to be the Route 1 widening project. The proposed budget includes funding to support phase 2 of the Quantico Creek restoration and other improvements to ensure MS4 permit compliance. Priorities in well-managed government seek to strengthen internal controls and ensure sound fiscal management, while also investing in our human capital needs. The proposed budget includes funding for 2 new finance positions to support the implementation of audit recommendations, to enhance our long-range planning, and to improve customer service. The proposed budget also establishes the Office of Civic Engagement. This office will be charged with increasing and enhancing interaction between government and our residents. Staff in this office will be responsible for special events, public information, community programming, as well as customer service. Our proposed capital improvement plan for fiscal year 23 through fiscal year 2027 reflects continued efforts to complete projects already underway. All capital projects in the current plan are funded entirely by grants and pay-as-you-go cash, thus having no impact on our debt capacity. For fiscal year 23, the CIP budget is $1.7 million. The proposed CIP budget includes 1 new project to create a stormwater infrastructure map. And once completed, this map will enhance our stormwater assessments as well as our maintenance operations. Additionally, significant staff time will be devoted to completing the previously approved Route 1 widening project, as well as monitoring the private development of the $400 million Rose Resort project. My final slide tonight seeks to provide the community with an overall schedule for our review of our fiscal plan for fiscal year 23. On March 31st, the proposed budget was distributed to Town Council and published on the town website. All fiscal plan documents can be accessed directly from our homepage simply by clicking on the town budget icon. In addition to the fiscal plan documents, we will also provide recordings of tonight's presentation, as well as the CIP presentation that was presented to the Planning Commission on last night. The public hearing for the tax abatement, as well as the proposed budget, is scheduled for the April 26th Town Council meeting. Prior to the public hearing, citizens can provide feedback on the budget either at tonight's meeting or in the comment section on our town budget webpage. Alternatively, comments can be emailed to pio@dumfriesva.gov. In closing tonight, I would like to reiterate that our fiscal year 23 fiscal plan has been completed in adherence with sound financial practices. Our fiscal plan addresses where we are currently and provides a roadmap to our future. Destination Dumfries. Thank you. All right, at this time, I will take a look to see if there are any questions in the chat. All right, I don't see any questions or comments in the chat. Again, if you were unable to attend tonight's live stream Q&A, you can feel free to provide comments on our budget documents on our budget webpage, or email your comments or questions to pio@dumfriesva.gov. I thank you all for your time, and I would like to state that it is a pleasure to continue to serve the town of Dumfries. Thank you.